Minnesota. This is Christie Thompson with Christie Legal. I'm a divorce and custody mediator and paralegal for Minnesota. And I am here with a panel of professionals who you will want to know if you're divorcing in the Northwest Metro, because there's a lot more to divorce than just the legal stuff. And they can help you with all the other things you're going to need. And believe me, you're going to need help. Don't be like some of the people who've called me after they try to divorce on their own and handle this, that, and the other things surrounding the divorce on their own. And the judge not only doesn't accept their documents, but they end up with a trial. And only less than 1% of divorce cases go to trial. So just don't do it. So guys, if you could introduce yourselves and just say a little bit about what you do. Thanks very much. And we'll go in alphabetical order. That would start with Jay.
Hey, I'm Jay Dworsky. I'm the Dworsky Agency. We're a full financial advisory group. I work with married couples, divorced couples here in Minneapolis. We cover, actually, I go out of state as well, if you want to know that. It doesn't matter where we are. With COVID, I got pretty adept at sharing a screen, and it seems to work really well. So there's really no distance factor anymore. My specialty is I help my clients understand how their retirement income streams work, so I can manage how they're going to look at that well before they get there, and they can test their retirement income streams. I help them with all sorts of products, from life insurance, disability insurance, income protection, and all the other products in between, the mutual funds, the stocks, the bonds, anything that has to do with money. I help them with it. And sometimes they have other advisors on their team, and I don't mind working as a collaborative team. It's all good. I'm all about education, and I like to do that since I've been a former teacher as well in my former life. So that's me. Look forward to hearing what the other guys say. Thanks, Christy.
Hi, so Jeff Scherber. I'm with Summit Mortgage, and I am a mortgage banker. And what I do is I help individuals that are going through a divorce and try to figure out whether if they need to refinance, pull money out to pay off the other spouse, or if they're looking to maybe dispose of the asset, and then what they'll need to do to qualify in the future to buy a home. I also work with individuals that maybe they've had some credit issues during the divorce, where I'll help them actually fix their credit or help them, try to get it reestablished so then they can purchase down the road. So basically, if you're in the need of looking for options, or you're thinking of getting a divorce and you sort of want to know what your qualifications are ahead of time, you can call me at any time. Thanks.
My name is Josh Damberg. I am an estate planning and elder law attorney with the law firm of Henningson Snoxell in Maple Grove, Minnesota. And I assist families and individuals with wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and healthcare directives.
My name is Lin Chang with Edina Realty. I am a residential realtor. I help people determine their value and equity in their home when they are going through a divorce. I also help traditional clients buy and sell. I help investors, and I also help with exceptional properties, which is an upper bracket type of real estate.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And so just to give you the boring legal stuff for divorcing, because you guys are going to have to start there. When you divorce, the first thing that you're going to do is divide the assets, and you're going to divide the marital assets. And a marital asset is an asset that you folks purchased or accrued during the marriage. In some situations, there is a marital interest in the non-marital home, a home that was purchased before the marriage, but hopefully we don't have to get into that. And so what we do is we, value all the property, and then we add it up, and then we say, okay, you guys have $1 million of assets. And the rule of law in Minnesota is you divide the assets 50-50. So we're going to find a way that each of you can walk away with about 50% of the assets. There are some exceptions to the 50-50, and because you guys are being amicable, if you guys are being amicable like my clients are, then you guys could agree to a different division that is similar. So how we start is we say, okay, who wants what? And then we work backwards from there to try to make that fair and equitable. And, the biggest asset is probably the house. And in a few minutes, Lynn and Jeff are going to tell us about either selling that marital homestead or refinancing the mortgage, or also you could buy another home before the divorce process, and it can get real fun. And so then after we divide the assets, we need to divide the debts. And the rule of law on the debts is ability to pay. And what that means is if you earn more, you pay more. And it doesn't matter who created those debts either. Your spouse could have created those debts completely without your knowledge, because being married means that you are financially responsible for the other person, no matter what. So we're going to have all of your debts, which includes if you owe income taxes to the federal or state government, student loans, yes, student loans, if they were accrued during the marriage, are a marital debt, and plus the normal bank loans and credit card debts. And again, you guys could agree to a different division of the debts than ability to pay, but that's the rule of law. Then if you guys have joint minor children, then there are several decisions to be made for the kids. The first major decision is where the kids will spend their time, and there could be joint physical custody. And that is when the children are with each parent about half of the time. And the other type is sole physical custody, but that really is a misnomer because nobody solely has physical custody of your children. It really just means that one parent has a lot more parenting time than the other parent. And when determining if we should have joint or sole, there are a lot of factors, including work schedule, social life, maybe who has, been taking care of the children a lot more during the marriage. Maybe the kids might have special needs, and, one parent isn't as good at dealing with that. There's a lot of factors. And we just, take them all into consideration, along with the best interests of the children's standards that the court likes us to use. And we figure out what's best for your kids and you guys' lives. And then, sometimes when people, one of the parties hasn't been working during the marriage, then we talk about spousal maintenance. It used to be called alimony. And very, very rarely is there permanent spousal maintenance now. And if the party who wasn't working has a college degree or had a successful career prior to the marriage, then in all likelihood, the spousal maintenance won't be for long. So I encourage you to definitely get legal information from myself or an attorney, and not listen to what your relatives say, because sometimes their information is outdated. And so that is the legal stuff. And so now, Lynn, please tell us about buying and selling your home in this super fun market.
Yes, it is a very exciting time, a very unique time, and a very unprecedented time here in real estate. When working with a divorcing couple, you know, the approach is definitely a very consultative type approach, right? We have two parties that are going their separate ways, and we want to be very compassionate and open-eared to, you know, mutual goals, right? So we might have different ideas, but essentially we have to come to one agreement that everybody can move forward with. And oftentimes, you know, we're talking about opportunities to either stay in the home or, you know, moving into their separate areas. And so first we would consult with Jeff to determine, you know, okay, if one party wants to take over the mortgage and stay in the property, is that doable? Is the income appropriate? What does that look like? And if that's possible, then we have to make sure we understand what the equity is in the home and allow that other party to be purchased out, so they can get their proceeds and move on with their goals. If the scenario does not allow for, you know, one party to be able to stay in the property, then we work towards getting the property to market. It's a very competitive market. It's a seller's market. There's less than 1 month of inventory out there, meaning that if there were no homes to hit the market at this point in time and the sales pace were to continue, all homes would be gone in about a month. You would need more like 5 to 7 months of inventory for it to be a more balanced market where really no buyer, no seller really has an advantage. And so, you know, we would talk about getting the property ready for market, what the potential proceeds would be based off of the competitive sales price, on the history of similar like homes in a 1 mile radius of that property. A very strategic and calculated approach, similar to how appraisers would look at value of a property. We would talk about marketing plans. We would talk about pre-marketing, and essentially understanding the exact process of getting the home from, you know, prep stage, staging, photography, live on market, showing the home, working through inspections, working with the buyer's lender, working with title companies, and then ultimately getting to that closing table. And so there's a lot of steps, over 200 steps in the process, and I'm here to be a connector throughout the entire process. I want to make sure that, you know, you have the resources you need to, you know, meet any professional that's related to the transaction and make it easy, because you're already going through a lot when you're going through that divorce. So, you know, those are really some key elements that we would definitely be reviewing in that initial consult. And then there'll be additional communication that's needed, a very tailored approach. You know, if the parties can't be together, well, then we'll have separate communications. We'll ensure things are in writing and ensure that, you know, we're all having fair communication and consistency between all parties. So I think I'll leave it at that.
Wow, I did not realize that there are about 200 steps to selling your house. That feels overwhelming. So yeah, people need help with it. And so Lynn had already talked about Jeff. So Jeff, please tell us how you help people get a mortgage so they can stay in that house. Okay. or get another one.
Right. Typically what we do is what I will do is we try to see, number one, if they are planning on selling the home or if they're planning on keeping the home. So the spouse that is planning on keeping the home, then we'll try to see what that spouse will qualify, if they'll qualify for making the payment on that home. In some cases, you may have a stay-at-home mom that would like to stay in the home, keep the kids in the home and keep everything stable, in which case, you know, she may be collecting alimony and child support. So in some cases, what I'll do is work the numbers up prior to them proceeding or going towards a divorce situation. So they've got an idea how much money they will need to, or that spouse will need to qualify. Or there may be a case where maybe the spouse wants to move and buy a different house. Then what I'll do is qualify that spouse to see exactly how much they qualify for. And then we'll look at the other spouse that plans on keeping the asset, consider doing a refinance. And if they're going to split the proceeds, you know, so let's say if, you know, it's a $400,000 house, you got $300,000 mortgage, you take 50 grand out less the closing costs and give it to the one spouse. And then basically that individual that plans on keeping the house would do what's called a refinance, in which situation they would end up taking the other spouse off the note and the mortgage and refinancing and then distributing of the 50 grand asset to the other spouse that plans on moving out of the house. So in many cases, it's really, I have a lot of clients that will call me ahead of time prior to proceeding in the divorce and work the numbers, backwards, forwards. Some decide they want to stay in the house. Some say, hey, it might be too much. So in some cases, you may have a spouse that says, hey, I really don't know what I qualify for. So in that situation, I help them figure out, hey, this is what you qualify for. And also what I try to do is take an overall look at their whole financial picture, just not what you can qualify for. What other debts, after the divorce are you going to be carrying along with you? Because I want to make sure that you can afford the home, and being that now you're going to be by yourself, you're not going to be strapped with all this debt and have all these payments, you're going to be stressed out. So in some cases, also what we'll do is maybe look at during the refinance, let's say if they get 50 grand out, maybe we take 30 grand and pay off all the debt. In a lot of cases, I like to have other spouse that's maybe moving out, try to get into a debt-free situation. Just relieves a lot of stress on the whole family and their whole situation. So that's pretty much what I do in helping individuals determine whether to either stay in the home or finance and purchase a new home. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And now let's talk about some more money. And Jay, could you please tell us how you help people who are in the divorce process figure out, what they have and, what financial decision would be in their best interest during the divorce process?
Sure, thank you. Well, sometimes they even come into my office pre-divorce. You got to, and that's maybe the divorce is a decision that can they financially get out of the marriage, which is, it helps people allow them to make that step. And I'm a sounding board for that. And so I sort of see myself as a quarterback to from beginning to the end of the process. These guys like Lynn and Jeff and Josh, they're going to be doing some very specific things like selling homes, Josh doing his estate planning. I'll keep the whole thing in a financial blueprint for the divorce client as an ongoing thing, and they can test strategies prior to, in test scenarios like what happens if this happens, and I'll give them information, and if I don't know it, I'll tell them and I'll look it up. I have a very good back office legal team that I use quite often, which is really cool. Instead of charging up all those attorney fees for financial questions, it's ongoing. I can ask questions directed that really are particular to that couple, which is a really cool part. Actually, Josh and I are working on a case right now with one of my clients, and there's some different mix of families in the family that are divorced, not divorced, and a lot of different questions come up when people are doing that with inheritance. That's something that's a concern for a lot of folks. And then it's like what you said, you got kids involved, like who's going to take care of the kids, and what if there's debt? So, I pretty much answer all those questions in the context of what tools they're going to need so they can possibly, hopefully retire comfortably and not carry the baggage of the marriage. And I see myself as that friend and financial advisor, not a pusher of product, but as an actual advisor that helps people make decisions that's best for them on an educated basis. And that's what I do. I help them with anything from the insurances, protect their life, their income, grow their assets with the securities that I sell. So that's what I do.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. So we've talked about, the divorce process, and, after the divorce is finished, it's the fallout is you still have to deal with the fallout. And that means you have to change some things. And one of the things that you're going to need to change is your estate plan. And attorney Josh Damberg is someone who can help you with that. Please tell us about that, Josh.
Sure. So, as an estate planning attorney, I have actually focused my practice on avoiding the divorce process where possible. I like to be the good guy in the situation, and typically I can be. So I'm going to start where if a married couple comes to me and creates an estate plan, I have certain ethical rules and actual boundaries where I get to know both parties to that agreement to the estate plan. And if those parties divorce, I don't get to pick my favorite person. So I can't pick Johnny or Susie in a situation where they get divorced. They actually, from an estate planning lens, each need to have their own unique representation as they walk through that divorce process in regards to their estate plan. If I'm on the other side and Johnny or Susie comes to visit me, at that point in time, I can provide those estate planning services. So amidst a divorce process, when you go to Christie and the divorce is initiated, your estate plan doesn't just disappear if you have one. If you have incapacity planning documents, meaning a healthcare directive or a power of attorney, those documents do get revoked by virtue of separation and starting the divorce process. However, if you have a will in place that nominates, empowers, or provides assets to the other divorcing party, that document remains in effect. So you actually do have to actively make a change to your will or your trust if you want to eliminate that person playing a role in that document. Also good to know is if you initiate the divorce process and you pass away before it is finalized, before there is an order or a decree from the court, your divorcing spouse is still considered your spouse and actually has what's called an elective share or a spousal right to a portion of your estate. So you really want to get to the end of the process and make changes if you're trying to protect your portion of the estate. On the flip side, once the divorce is finalized, it is absolutely critical to get your own documents in order so that you do have a healthcare directive or a power of attorney nominating new friends or family members in the place that your ex-spouse may have occupied in the event that you are in an accident or have a health event, and also to update your testamentary documents, your will, your trust, because a will is the only way that you can create a guardianship for minor children. So if there are minor children that are part of the divorce process, regardless of how custody and parenting time shakes out, you should have a will in place in the event that your ex-spouse predeceases you so that you can direct what your preference for a guardian would be if both of you pass away, leaving minor children. So those would be the things and kind of the timeline that I would walk through as an estate planning attorney and the role that I would play in varying parts of that timeline and process.
Thanks. That was a really good breakdown. And I actually learned something today that I probably should have learned long ago from listening to you, that you should actually change your estate documents during the divorce process if it's a conflictual divorce, shouldn't you?
Absolutely. You should be working with not only someone in Christie's shoes, but someone in my shoes at simultaneously, specifically for the incapacity documents. But the testamentary side, the will and other things can get tricky because the court can actually order you not to, and Christie's probably seen this, you can't change, alter, and start, for lack of a better word, messing around with your assets through the divorce process. Sometimes the court will actually require you to take out and hold certain assets, life insurance policies. So you want to be careful as you make those changes and make sure you're working with the right resources.
Okay. Yeah. Don't try to do this at home, folks. So now let's go back to Jay again, because Jay's going to talk about replanning your financial future after divorce.
Oh yeah. Replanning, it takes a lot of effort. You're going to go from a 2-income household, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe you had no income. Maybe you were all the income. In the same way, we plan we go back, we want to measure what you need at retirement. That's really the defining thing. An accumulation of money doesn't really get a person from all the way from retirement to end of life. They have to know that that income every single year will last. And that's really the key to financial advising and planning. It's not how much money do I need at that time. It's how much I can spend every single year. It's a distribution power. And that's really where financial planning is going to right now. We like to use people's numbers and to test the strategies prior to any type of implementation. I call it the retirement income calcs. And last night I sat with a couple, and I usually put them in packages of 5, and they can choose actually what that income is. If they want to live 100% of what they're working, they can do that. If they want to retire earlier, they can take a lot of stress off working. It all depends what they want to do. I give them the choice, and they can really choose it, but they need the expertise of the advisory so they can see really what the landscape is. It's not just opinion based, it's based on academic fact. And that's really the most important thing. I think that's about enough not to confuse people.
Right. And that's exactly it, Jay. All of this, all the things with divorce can be very confusing. And we're here to help you figure it out. Each of us have our own little piece of the divorce puzzle. And, again, don't try to do it on your own. And we all offer no cost initial consultations. So please reach out to us anytime. I'm not seeing any questions on the post. So we don't have any questions right now, but definitely our contact information is going to be in the post. So please contact us with any questions at all. There is no such thing as a dumb question, especially when you are making decisions that are going to affect your life for a very long time. And does anybody else have anything to say? All right. As my friend Ben Millard, life and business coach, would say, I waited 7 seconds and nobody said anything. So that must be it. Everybody have a great sunny weekend. Stay hydrated.
Yeah, stay cool.
Everybody.